Alright, hello again, Fleet Commanders. Tiberius back with another video for you. We have reached the end of the Duality arc. Part 4 launched just a couple days ago, and that means an event store. And that's what we're going to look at this week is what's going on in the event store and my recommendations for what would be good items to spend your tokens on to cash in. And yeah, just look at some of the stuff there. Of course, as always, be sure to like, follow, subscribe on Twitch and YouTube if you want to be able to be notified, obviously, when I have new content up. Also, if anyone from Scopely is happening to watch this, can we please stop filling the event store with garbage? Just a request. Because let's face it, we're going to touch on this when we go through it. There's some stuff in there that is absolute trash. And I'm sure if you guys pull some reporting, you will see that nobody is buying this stuff. So why even bother putting it in? It's just more junk to scroll through, to scroll across unnecessarily. So please just take it out. Just take it away. Um, Either replace it with something new or just leave it blank. Right now there's currently like 80 things in the event store. That's probably 10 or 15 too many. So there's certainly some stuff in there we can take out. But let's take a quick peek, see what's going on in the old event store. Obviously, different ways to earn credits. Of course, you can buy them, which is also always an option. They're selling bundles here. You can get 6 bundles, 99.99. Gives you 120 credits, so that'd be an extra 720,000 credits that you could purchase. You also get a whole bunch of resources and stuff with it. Nice amount of titanium as well, which isn't in some of the other bundles. A lot of the other bundles you buy will have a lot of par steel or maybe some dilithium. Most of them are usually lacking in titanium unless you buy like a ship bundle. So getting it in here is a pretty good thing, and these are pretty decent values here. 1,200 on resources, 300 on the rares, and even some of the epics, which might help you do some prime researches depending on what level you're at and if you've done any of the primes already. Um, Instead of buying some of the individual primes, which need like 100 125 epics of tier 4 to do, um, if you bought 2 of these, you might be able to do 2 or 3 primes, plus then get all the other stuff. So there's some pretty good value there in that. But if you get 720 max this way, and then through the event, we don't know the exact number because they never tell you what the payouts are going to be. And then obviously some of it is also dependent on alliance leaderboards and things like that. So, if you look at like the amalgam event here, you got individual milestones which paid out and gave you, 5,000, about 6,000 credits, exactly 6,000 credits. And then you have a separate alliance leaderboard, which could get you anywhere from 18,000 all the way down to 2,700. So a little bit of a difference there in terms of total value. We'll ballpark it and say you'll probably get about 400,000. Seems to be 350 to 400. Seems to be kind of where most people usually end up falling in there. Just hang on one second. Okay. So you have about 400,000 credits, we'll say, hypothetically speaking. So if you look at through the event store, there are a lot of items in here. You've got the officers that have appeared throughout this arc, and there's some good value in some of these guys. Sela, first off, let me just say this. I don't recommend making purchases of things, especially officers, during the arc. Kind of save up those credits towards the end of the arc, because if you look at like right now, I am 21 shards away from Sela, and it was like, oh well, I could cash in a bunch of tokens and get there and get that up to that point or unlock her maybe. But throughout the arc, there will probably be events that will also reward some of her shards. Like right now, one of those alliance leaderboards is giving out, 2 or up to 5 Sela shards and up to 5 Honor Guard Wharf shards depending on for first place, second, third, fourth on those alliance leaderboards, which I think even the people who finish like 25th, they each get one. So if I'm spending mid event, if I'm spending resources buying shards for these people, and then I unlock her, and then I get a few more, it's like, all right, well, now I've got Sela with 8 extra shards towards the next time I'm going to be able to tier her up. Well, we don't know when that's going to be. Typically speaking, once an arc is finished, the officers in it aren't usually available for a while. The TOS crew, we finished up that arc. The TOS officers weren't available for a long period of time. Discovery was kind of the same way. Then eventually they made their way into the Ultra Recruit packs. Same thing with the Next Generation crew. They made their way into the Ultra Recruit packs, some of them, not all of them, as we'll touch on, um, or through transporter patterns, a few other officers became available. So, will we see these officers again in that manner? Maybe somewhere down the road, but that could be, 6 months from now before we see them again. So, if you're spending points getting their credits now, then you're going to end up having a few extra shards possibly left over at the end afterwards. And then it's like, well, I could have used those points to buy something else. So I would always just recommend trying to save to the end um, before cashing in. I mean, if you're like 1 or 2 shards away from unlocking Honor Guard Wharf and you just want them now because you PvP a lot, okay. Um, but if you're I would say if you're any more than 5 shards away, save it to the end. So, as for Honor Guard Worf, great officer, but he's PvP only. So if you don't PvP, he doesn't have any value to you. But for the most part, he's an officer you'd want to at least unlock. As we see, his crit chance bonus only triggers against other players, as does his captain's ability. And each time you tier him up, this goes up 5%. I'm sure after this arc, you will see people. Most people got him unlocked. Some people got him to tier 2 through previous iterations. So maybe he might have been at like 50%. Um, or at least by now, some people have cashed in and bought and upgraded him to 50%. You probably see some people go a little heavier, especially some of those big whales, and you might see him get tiered up a little bit, but that's going to be few and far between. Most people will have him available and unlocked after this event arc, but in terms of still tiering him up, not too many people are going to get him past tier 2 or tier 3. Like we said, you can buy 720,000 credits. You get maybe 400,000 through the event store, so that's about 1.1 million maybe, somewhere in that range. Um, that's if you need 100 shards to upgrade him, that would be 600,000 right there. So that'll get you, 110 shards, 660,000 to buy him, to upgrade him all the way from tier 1 to tier 2, which is, and then you wouldn't have enough left over to go the rest of the way. So we'll see some upgraded wharfs after this event, but yeah, I expect a lot of people will be buying him. He's a good value. He's a good officer. Definitely good for PvP if that's what you do, or territory captures, that kind of stuff. So some of these other officers, they're decent, but I wouldn't. I mean, you'll if you've unlocked them, I don't know that they're really worth upgrading. Um, if you're a higher level player, something like this, increased damage against Klingon targets, um, might be beneficial to you. But there's other officers that do things like that already, so I don't know necessarily that they're worth, getting and trying to tier up a little bit. You probably have some of the original officers, like Mirek or like Krell, or those kinds of people who do higher damage to specific different factions. Galron and Martok again aren't bad, but again, the rare officers, you should have had them unlocked from the last battle pass. Maybe towards the end. These are kind of guys I'd put in like that tier 2 range. I think there's probably like there's kind of 4 tiers of prizes. There's your big ticket items. You ever go to like an arcade, play skee ball or something like that, and you get the handful of tickets, And you're like, let me go cash these in. What can I get? And it's like the big ticket stuff is up on the wall, and then there's some stuff like on the counter, kind of behind you. That's like tier two, and then there's some stuff in the plastic case, which is what you spend the rest of your tokens on, so you don't have to take them home or whatnot. Um, and then there's just stuff that nobody will ever get. That's just there, I guess, just to fill the thing up to make it look full. Um, but nobody's ever buying this stuff. So yes, your rare officers definitely a step down in that tier two, tier three range. Not really a big recommendation towards them. 4 and 3, your Borg mining officers. Those guys have tremendous value, especially if you were not able to get them. Boosting cargo size, pretty good. And then protected cargo is what the other one boosts. Not sure why my game froze. There we go. For 3 of 11, which I was not able to get during the arc, so that would certainly be someone I may consider. But again, if I'm 70 shards away, 7 times 6 is 420. 70 shards would actually leave me too short. Um, 420. So if I got 420,000, I would be able to just cash. Maybe I could cash them all in and get 3 of 11. But like I said, like I can be 1 or 2 shards short um, of unlocking her. I also had the misfortune of accidentally misclicking when I sneezed yesterday while going through the store and bought something I did not want to buy, which wasted some tokens. Um, these next generation Borg limited specials, they have a higher payout. I mean, as we saw, these guys cost 6,000 per shard. So basically, this is a buy one get one free situation. 5 shards would cost you 30,000, but you're getting 5 extras. The question you have to ask yourself is, so great value, bang for your buck. Like I said, buy one get one free, but it's kind of a, do I need to buy this at all? Um, Riker is now much more readily available than he was. He's in the Ultra recruit packs. Also for the holidays, they ran a special where he was like 3 times as likely to show up when you opened your Ultra recruit packs. So a lot of people really got Riker shards and are close to tiering him or moving him up. So he's very accessible. And then you have Picard, um, who is not accessible at all. Um, you know, he's one of the two, him and Data are the 2 officers that were not added to the Ultra recruit packs from the Next Generation storyline. And then the rare version of Worf was also not added. Um, Data has been sort of limited availability in away team rare epic missions, but there currently is not another way to get Picard shards, unless maybe we have, when the next season of Picard launches, maybe they'll do something to bring him back. Um, my guess is that in a couple months, if they update the transporter patterns, you'll probably see Picard go there, much the way they did with Spock. They didn't put Spock in the packs, they put Spock only in the transporter patterns, and I would guess that Picard would be the officer that they choose from the Next Generation crew. He's not in the Ultra Recruit packs. You'll probably see Picard show up there, making him more readily available. The other thing about Picard, of course, is that much like Pike, he's really only used for his captain's ability, which you just need tier 1 to unlock. So then you have to ask yourself, do I need to buy more Picard shards? And the answer is probably no. If you don't have him, okay, and you're close to getting him, sure, 10 shards, if that's going to get you there, then that would make sense to be valuable. But if you already have them unlocked like I do, what do 10 more Picard shards do here? I've only got 10% towards tiering him up, and tiering him up isn't really that big of a benefit. So probably not much value here, even though they make it seem like it's a good, buy one get one free kind of situation. I don't need to buy it to begin with. So getting 2 things for the price of 1 doesn't really help me out. Same thing over here. Beverly and Wesley. Wesley's not a very good officer, and Beverly is a good officer, and you would want to tier her up, but she's also available in the Ultra Recruit packs. They both are. So if you're getting Ultra Recruit tokens, which you accumulate on a regular basis through events and things, um, pretty good chance you're going to continue to get and level up these officers, and you wouldn't need to spend your points buying them here. Borg guys, they're also available in the same packs. So again, same situation. Jayla Jayla doesn't do a lot for you. A lot of people want to get Jayla. They want to unlock her because she helps with your swarms. Not as much as you think. It's really what it comes down to. Um, if we look at, I'm going to go over to officers, look up Jayla real quick here. So Jayla's captain's ability gives you extra resources from killing hostiles while she's on the Franklin. Probably not that beneficial to you to try and get. It's not like a lot of people are really short on modulators and things. Maybe if you have a Franklin and you're trying to get the modulators to upgrade it, so then you can scrap it to get the Franklin A. Okay, she's going to help you do that. Of course, she's going to help you get uh, more materials so you can scrap it faster. Her officer's ability, which is what most people usually use her for, giving you the extra shot, you know, one extra shot around. Okay, if you pair up a Pike Moreau, you get, she increases that, and you get an extra shot. You tier her up a little bit, 2, 3 shots. Um, but what she's, really doing is helping you kill more swarm armadas. Um, and unless you're spending the rare directives on a regular basis, you're not really seeing a good return in value there. If you're trying to do just your swarm dailies, Talon is still better for most people. A maxed out Talon versus a tier one just unlocked Jayla. Um, from my experience, I found that anything 41 and under, Talon is definitely more beneficial. You'll take less hull damage over the course of grinding your dailies with Talon as your third officer instead of Jayla. When you get to the 43s, you're kind of in a slightly like a break even kind of point where, you know, depending on if you crit, should give you the extra shots in round one with Pike Moreau. And if you happen to crit any of those shots, you finish the fight faster, take a little less damage. If you don't crit with those extra shots, and it goes to round two or later, then you would have taken less hull damage if you had Talon in that fight. Beyond that, I don't know. That's as far as I've gotten is 43s. So there's kind of, not really a great return there yet that you need to rush out to get Jayla. The other benefit, of course, she helps you do Swarm Armadas, which just help you unlock more Jayla shards, which just help you do more Swarm Armadas. There's not really anything else value coming out of that. Um, 100 rare directives for either a chance at her or just getting 4,000 rare credits. Um, you're still getting better value doing regular armadas instead of the swarm ones. So I don't see her as being very valuable at all. Again, if you're at like 98 shards and you can get one or two and just unlock her, okay, she's kind of, maybe that's like a tier two kind of prize. Go for it. But I wouldn't put her as like my big ticket. Like I'm going to spend, and get 50 Jayla shards so I can get her. You're not going to see the return on investment with that one. Cloaking refits, not bad, but these are all available in the faction store. Burrell, Centurion, whatever. These are all ships that I have. I think there's probably showing for more ships. I just don't have any of those built right now, so you can probably get them for other ships as well. I like how they put limit 60 and limit 80 here, when that's when it takes to unlock it. Like, why would you buy more than 60? It's nice that I guess they're telling you not to buy more than you need. But 1, 2, 3, 4, these are all available. Your 26s, your 28s, your 32s, your 34s, they're all available in your faction stores. So not worth investing your limited points here when you can just get them through your faction credits. Same thing with the Enterprise and stuff. Yeah, 34s. The Sarcophagus and the Jellyfish do have a little bit of value here. Sarcophagus is only a half unlock, though. So you're still going to come up short and need to find a way to get the other half of it. The Jellyfish, they do actually let you get all 80 that you need to unlock it. This is what I sneezed and accidentally bought 10 of. I don't use my Jellyfish as much. It's not good for PvP, so cloaking it isn't really all that beneficial. Maybe if I want to go around, just farming, killing OPC miners or something like that, maybe having a cloak on a jellyfish would be beneficial. But like I said, it's not a great PvP ship, so unlocking that not really a big priority. And I'm kind of disappointed because I spent 37,500 credits getting 10 shards that I'm probably never going to use. Thank you, McSneezy. Sarcophagus again is only a half unlock, so you'd still end up short and have to find a way to get the other half, possibly by buying it or saving it, just waiting for a future event store, 3 or 4 months from now, and hoping that this comes back, and then you can get the other half of it. Tetrions, no. It's the simple answer. You get them on a daily basis. You can only hold like 200 of them. So unless you really have like a really big, TC battle coming up where you're trying to take an enemy 3-star or something like that, and you want to have a bunch of cloaked ships, so you can, you know, get in there and get through lines and get to, camping points where people are just sort of clustered together and take out some ships. You're probably not going to need to have a bulk excess supply of Tetrions. The Meridian refit is pretty good. It does give you an extra refine every day. So much like the 3-star primes do, where instead of having 1, 2, and 3 chests and the prices, it changes that and adds an extra 1 and becomes a 2, 3, 4. So you get extra pulls on a daily basis. That is excellent value, but you only need one of them to refit it. So if you have, if you do later on get the blueprints for an extra Meridian, you don't need to then buy a new refit for it as well, because you already have the refit from your first one. Good value here. It definitely helps improve your daily isogen refines, which will help you get through some of the research faster. And a lot of those that territory tree has some really good researches, but some of them get pretty pricey. The ones I'm on now at Ops 42, you're up to the 7th, the 8th iterations of these researches, and they're all costing a little over 100,000, 113, 120,000 each in terms of isogen. And with the extra refines and stuff here, I'm getting about 27,000 a day, give or take. So, 4 or 5 days to get each piece of research certainly helps close that gap a little bit. Instead, without the refit, I'd probably be getting closer to maybe like 20,000, which then adds an extra day or two to every single research you want to do. And that'll obviously drag up and space things out more for you during the game. So this will definitely save you some time in the long run. Ship blueprints, probably not worth buying for most people. Again, they're all available in the faction stores. If you're getting to the point where you're close, and you just need like, you're level 34 and you're like 5 enterprise shards short, and you're like, let me just get this so I can build my first G3 epic. Okay. But for the most part, these not really a whole lot of value here, especially because you're also limited to 20. So you can't even be like, I want to get a whole enterprise. I want to get my enterprise. This is what I'm going to spend my 400,000 points on. What are they even charging here? 20,000 the thing. That's pretty much all you could afford. If you cashed in, if you get 400,000, that's all of it right there. There's your 400,000 points, getting you 20 shards on an enterprise, or you can get them through the faction store. Faction miners, no. Centurions and legionaries and stuff, no. Meridian blueprints, we talked about in a separate video, the benefits of having a second Meridian. Last month during the holiday arc, you were able to get, during the holiday store, Deck the Halls, you were able to get 50 Meridian blueprints. So if you bought those 50, then you would only need to buy the remaining 50 here to get your second one at 1,500 a pop. That's not bad. That's 75,000 to get the other 50 to unlock your Meridian. If you do need to spend all of it, 150,000 for a full unlock on a Meridian, something to consider. It's a little pricey, but if you're spending a third of your, or just a little over a third of your total credits, it's a little may not be the best item for you in terms of upgrading, moving yourself forward in the game, but certainly not a bad investment. Especially if again if you only have to buy 50 of them um, to get that second Meridian, then you're probably in a little bit better shape there. You don't need a second Vidar. Devors you get in the loyalty chests. I personally already have 3 of them just from the loyalty chests. I bought my first one, when I was in my mid 20s uh, for $20, whatever it was, which was a great investment. Doing the Latinum mining, especially the way that they've changed the Latinum mining throughout the course of the game with the Latinum Rush and how much faster you refine it now with the Devore. Um, but you second, third, fourth Devores, just you'll get them. You'll get them, and you'll have more than you know what to do with. So same thing with Devore parts; they'll come. Um, not a huge necessity to upgrade multiple Devores. Much like unlike the Discovery, there isn't a big benefit that you get when you get the Devore to tier 9 and max it out. All it really does is separate your refinery. So when you're tier 8 and below, when you refine your raw latinum with the Devore in the refinery store, rather, you get Devore parts and you get latinum together. When you hit tier 9 and you've maxed out your Devore and you don't need parts anymore, they separate them into 2 separate refineries. So you can refine just the latinum, or you can refine just the Devore parts, or both. Um, so it's actually kind of detrimental. What you were getting both of, now you have to spend separately on. So you end up using your latinum twice as fast. Um, if you want to get more parts to level up a second or a third one. If you just want to do just the latinum, you're kind of still spending the same amount as you were before. You're getting slightly higher. I think I was getting about like 1100, 1200. Now I'm getting 1500. It's kind of fixed and locked in, so I get a little bit higher there. But if I also want parts, then I have to make a second purchase. So not a big benefit to that one. The Discovery, you don't need a second one of. Spore Drive, maybe you need it to finish upgrading your Discovery or to do any of the research. So maybe there's a little bit of value here, but I mean, you get these, we're doing your every Saturday or every Sunday, whatever it is, we do our event, and you get your resource tokens to refine. You get about 4 pulls a week, so you're getting Spore Drive components there. If you're close to a research and just need something to kind of push you over, okay. But again, this is be further down that list. Stella blueprints. If you have a second Stella, you don't need a third one. If you don't have a second one yet, this is an opportunity to do something there. But what do they give you? They give you half. So you get half a Stella. So then you got to find a way to get the other half somewhere. Botany Bay, I don't know why you would need a second one of this. Most people don't like data mining at all, and there's very few events that revolve around data mining. So getting a second one doesn't really seem good. Now we get to now I talk about the garbage. This is absolute trash with the plutonium. I don't know why these are here in the store. These are 3 things you should just scroll right on by. Don't even click the view to open them. Just keep on going. I will click the view just to show you exactly how ridiculous they are in just a second here. 160 common plutonium, 75,000 points. 75,000 for 160 common plutonium. We're going to get out of the event store. We're going to go to the faction tab. We're going to go to the ally. 160 common plutonium. Well, I get 3 times that, which I can collect for 1180 shards. These things, I think they do have a slight cooldown on them, but I'm still getting 3 times more than what they're giving me in the event store for very low cost. I mean, I get 7,000 a day, so that's just from doing this. I can also do this and get the other 400, and then I'm getting 7,600 a day. That's 75,000 for a fraction of what I get in my faction store. Absolute trash. And I'm sorry if you're one of those people who were like, oh, who was really excited about this. So you can level up your Botany Bay, or your hijacked Legionary or whatever, hijacked 27 ships that most people don't build. Um, I'm sorry, but to me, these three things are a waste of space. So I would just take these out of the store completely. These are items that I would love to see a report on. Like, I would love to if they publish their data, you know, after the end of the event store, if Scopely kind of put up on their website, like, hey, here's the top 5 items that people spent their shards on in this month's arc, and here's the 5 lowest items that people spent their shards on, um, and how many shards they spent. And then, actually use that data and be like, okay, let's take out our 5 lowest producing things, or these things had 0. Nobody bought them across all the servers. They were just a big fat goose egg. Let's take them out and let's find 5 new things to replace them with for our next event store. You know, um, I think that would just be great data analytics, but uh, yeah, that's not what they pay me for. So they don't pay me for anything. But ultra recruit tokens, these are kind of when you buy your big ticket item and you have your handful of tickets left, maybe you buy ultra recruit tokens. Independent credits, I kind of feel the same way about these. You get them through the Borg refinery, you get them through the Augment store. I get 310 per day. So cashing in, some credits here to get an extra 500. If I was close, if I needed them to sort of tier up an officer, like I had the shards already for a particular officer and I've been waiting and trying to save up so I could tier him up, maybe I'd cash in a couple things here to get, if it would get me to that point, to speed that up. But just in terms of a general, like, oh, I should just get these because these are a thing to get, they're kind of a tier 2 item, I would say, in my mind. Big resources, as we mentioned earlier in the packs. If it would help you get a prime, maybe cash in on a 4-star epic. Same thing here. These aren't 5, 30,000 for 50. Um, and again, some of those primes only cost you like 100. So maybe if you spent 60, 61,000, if that would get you a prime research, um, that would be a good value for you. That would save you $100 instead of buying the prime, especially if you're someone, uh, who just hit like Ops 40 or something like that. These may not be available for people of lower levels. Maybe because of my Ops levels, why I'm seeing these. Um, if you're like 32, you might not have this available to you in your store to buy. If you're 40 and maybe you skipped a couple of primes and didn't pay for them, if you're on a more of a free-to-play path, this might be an opportunity for you here to pick those up. But again, it's a lower, it's probably a tier 2, tier 3 item. Resource tokens, no. Rares, kind of the same boat. Uncommons, these are kind of what you come back to. If you spent 300,000 tokens getting your jellyfish refit, or you spent, 360,000, not an Ops 39 store. Yeah, okay, I figured it was. Thank you for pointing that out. Um, yeah, probably because I'm Ops 40 is why I'm seeing the 4-star resources here. So if you were on a free to play path and you skipped the primes, well then that would be an opportunity for you to go back and get them and save yourself $100 because they do come in handy having those extra bonuses there. But again, here same thing. This is kind of what you spend the rest of your tickets on at the end. Um, you bought your 50 honor guard wharf shards and you've got a few left, so you'll cash them in, get some uncommon resources to upgrade a building or put toward a ship upgrade or something. Same thing here with rares. I actually don't even have the uncommons available in my store anymore. I guess because of my ops level, they figured, why would I need 3-star uncommons? Which actually would help, with some researches and things to speed things up. Warp stuff for Franklins. These are not the Franklin A's. These are the original Franklin. Uh, Not great value there. Certainly, after I built one and scrapped it, I don't want to go back and build another one. Um, don't want to have 2 Franklin A's. Certainly don't want to have a Franklin and a Franklin A. It's kind of redundant because the Franklin A is so much better. So skip right over these. Active nanoprobes, these have tremendous value in terms of what you need them for, but the cost is pretty pretty steep. 75,000 for 12,500. Um, when you start talking about what you need to upgrade certain officers, we'll just give you a little preview here because I'm stuck on 6 of 11 here. I have the shards to move him from tier 3 to tier 4, but he's out. Where is he? All right, we'll do it this way. I'm pretty sure it's epic. 6 of 11. Material costs to take him up here, 13,000 independent credits, 2 command badges, and 475,000 nanoprobes. Uh, Pretty steep cost in terms of that to upgrade. So if you look at what's in the event store, see, it's got to scroll through all this stuff. Garbage. All right. So 12,500. I'm limited to buying 10. So if I spent 750,000, I could get 125,000 nanoprobes, which if I need 475 to tier up my officer, still leaves me pretty far away from being able to get that. Basically cashing in my whole event and still not being able to do something more than my whole event. I actually have to buy packs to get extra credits to then do the max pull here. So I don't like the cost on this. I like 12,500 nanoprobes, but not at the cost of 75,000 credits. If this was lower, if this was like 25,000, yeah, it'd have some value there and be worth making a purchase so you could upgrade those Borg officers. But at this price point, it's overpriced, to be perfectly honest. I get in my refinery, I get 4,800 a day. I can do a double refine and get 9,600. So for the value here in terms of the points versus, um, going out and loading up a Vidar and doing a Borg run and getting 250 to 300,000 nanoprobes so I can refine them, I come out much better ahead doing it that way than spending these tokens. So unfortunately, good item but overpriced. Mycelium actually has pretty good value here. 80,000 is a lot of disco jumps. With no officers on, disco costs about a couple hundred to jump it, and then 1,000 to summon something else in. If you have the right officers on, depending on your tier level and whatnot, you can get that cost down. I think mine is around 250 to jump, and then like 750, 765 or something like that if I want to summon in another ship. Um, so maybe it's 1,000 combined to jump it out there and then summon a bigger ship. So 80,000 would certainly stock you up for a while. But again, this is something that you do get every week. You get 5,000 a week for doing the events. And you can also, do this refinery yourself. They just have the limit set too low, I feel like. I feel like they need to change that refinery limit on this. Maybe make it a little bit higher, because right now I think it's set at 5,000. So once you're at 5,000, uh, cultivated here, you can't refine anymore. So you can't stockpile it up so you can, disco jump at will. Maybe they need to make that a little higher. But a little bit of value here. I know at least 1 or 2 higher level players who are always complaining that they don't have enough of this to disco all over the place the way they want to. So I'm sure there's a few people who will end up purchasing this. Avatars, not a big fan of. In frames too, especially at a high price point, 75,000 for some of these things, 150,000 for the rare ones. These are purely cosmetic in nature, and if you want to spend half of your you know total points that you're going to earn for the whole month on something that just makes your screen that only you can really see for the most part, or other players if you're in the chat, if you're in Galaxy chat, look a little prettier. I feel like there's way better things to spend your money on than this. But if you're one of those players who already has everything, because you have a Amex Black card, well then hey, maybe getting an avatar or something like that might be worth spending your points on. Get to the last two items I want to talk about: the away team trait XP and Syndicate XP. These are good tier 2 items. I know some people may not be as high on these. If you look at the other video I did where I did a deep dive into away team trait XP, to upgrade one epic officer from start to finish and unlock and max out their traits costs like 323,000 total trait XP, which if you just do your daily mission, getting about 1,100 a day, it would take you about 9 months to save up enough to take one epic officer from start to finish. I mean, 9 months is a pretty long time. So anything you can do to sort of speed that up, or if you want to get multiple officers to that second tier or third tier trait, so then you can complete more away team missions and hit more criticals to help accelerate your game there, whether it's getting Latinum, getting faction credits, all those things. There is some value here, especially at the price point of 1,300 for 3,000. That's a pretty good conversion rate. Um, if you're spending nine, you know, 10 chests for 30,000, you're getting 13,000 trade XP. That may get you one or two, tiers on a trait. May push you from finishing a tier 2 trait and getting to that third level trait to unlock, which is going to again increase your critical chance significantly. On certain officers, this would be something that I would come back to. You bought your Honor Guard Wharf Shards, or you bought your cloaking for your Sarco or whatever, and now you're like, all right, what am I going to do with my last 50,000? It's like, well, some trade XP would actually be a pretty good investment. Get a couple extra officers up, the ones you find yourself you're using a lot. Your 10 of 10, maybe Carol or some of the other officers there that have typically 2 and 3 tiers of traits that apply to a particular missions that you see on a regular basis. Eurydice is another one that gets you a lot of big chunk of Latinum and things like that can really help then speed up the rest of your game if you keep hitting those criticals on those missions. Syndicate XP, not a bad value, 7,500 for 850. Again, this would be something you might come back to. Um, you buy your big ticket item and you're like, what am I going to do with my rest of these? If I pick up 4 or 5 syndicate chests to kind of speed things along, if it helps get me to the next tier, like I'm pretty close right now. I'm at 872. Would that do it? Would that do it? I forget what it was. Where's my syndicate XP? Gotta go all the way to the end to find this one hiding back there. Shouldn't quite back there. 850. Yeah, that makes sense. So this wouldn't get me there. I'd still come up short, so I'd have to buy 2, or I would just have to wait till tomorrow. I get 200 a day, so but that would get me to the next ops level. There are some really great values here in terms of getting the officer presets, but just getting the extra bonus stats here to mining, to piercing, to warp speed, to cargo capacity. There's a lot of good stuff in the Syndicate store. They do kind of price it out. You're getting 200, 250. This will also increase my XP at the next level here. I think this goes up to 250 here to try and get me to the next level. So again, that would be something that's a tier 2 item that I would recommend, to help speed you up if you're close to another level, making a purchase at the end to kind of cut down on that time for you to then start getting you these extra benefits, especially if it's going to push you to a tier that gives you more XP, because that'll help you speed things up a little bit, get you more Grush Shards so you can level them up to get more warp range maybe. You go from 6% to an 8% to a 10%. Can make a pretty big difference in terms of getting some of your mining ships maybe into deep space to different nodes. So you're going to get him eventually as you progress through this path, but it is going to take a while. And a lot of people, if you're looking at, let's see if they give you, oh, they're just telling you about, yeah, no, that's just on the, I wanted to see if it would give you anything that tells you collect XP, yeah. What you collect at different, what level 9 costs, and what, and if you go up to 250 a day or whatever, but like that, but it doesn't tell you. Um, I think this was around 3,000 or so. So at 200 a day, it's definitely taken a couple weeks to finish. So probably more than that actually. Um, so yeah, so speeding that up again, good tier 2 item at the end if you have some points left. So just to recap, this went a little longer than I meant to. Wow, went a little longer than I meant to. Wharf, great for PvP, good purchase, but wait to the end of the arc because you want to see how many shards you really need. Same thing if like unlocking Sela or any of these other officers here. The Borg officers also really good 4 and 3, but again, wait till the end of the arc before purchasing any officers. Uh, Not really such great value with these other officers because they're not really needed in, or there are other ways to easily source them. Refits are easily available through the store. The Meridian, I'm sorry, cloaking is easily available through the faction store. Meridian refits a good one to get if you don't have it already. Meridian blueprints if you're close to getting a second one, good way to unlock that. That's kind of worth an investment in. Second thing with the second Stella if you don't have that. Then resources here not so great, and then other secondary items, trait XP and Syndicate XP, good secondary value after you've purchased your officers and things. Come back and then spend the rest on either maybe some other resources to finish up an upgrade to a ship or a building, or spend it on trait XP. So thank you guys for tuning in and watching. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Be sure and, like I said, like, follow, subscribe on YouTube and Twitch, and see you around the galaxy.